Abo Nonsia Peace 104.3. Okay, 101.7 Neat 100.9. Your ship house, Akan Junction, Accra. Hello, 101.5 FM. Kumasi Edumamari Shemamuninachi. Yamaina Mahudo also smiles Akan no pay any other brem we can say boy nam radio stations abroad Hasogana Niamanone. Any other to peacefmonline.com. Peacefmonline.com.
Now, and now I'm a paying tidbits. I know etche in ye. And none of the ding kanya partial lockdown no man penina nado a free hono esha se aye juma. Eti and na any day ding kanya yes auntie see ye tate abrabonumu ebium. Na enon chirasa COVID-19 woko. Say your man penia yane say what will be a shabre asho no ankasa ensem. O man penia na muntu a watu ne say obi ahwe now man ho ban FM what the one kwa asha wonsa said enyame de owo ne nkwasi yanim se yenhwe ne yenyi de ye pe no eno ana o mampani na nado dan kwakufu ado ayeyi e kire se wote da atisititi abrabom when you huni sa physical distance na se entetare nipa ho woni nipa ntem be kwan meda montem ya fa no anya adwuma ye ni de yie ye ne huni ya for face mask and shayam no ebra ye kodi pem na ya moya ho ban a ane COVID-19 aboboa no ho na ogina no e ho ne nyina ya te asi ye beti abo enu nti ehia sa wo ya hweye o mampani kasa I was say we bia pono no ba bi obi a pese okokoye na dwuma otumi ko na mom wa kari wo ho hwe na su sa otrafie be yi a ene etrafie o mampani say so hwe na otena fie le be ya fie afei social distancing susu tetare nipa susu be nipa ye fanya adwuma ahonidie a hohoro ye nsa ho deku ewo ensu a ebuo ase ye fanya adwuma sanitizer de fefa ye nsa ho ye nkoso fanya adwuma na afei so ye ndi ye ho eni we aye tidbit a ye giro mampani anum nsam a enra wode to dwa eso e de ma omanfo e o COVID-19 ekon ho fi se ye ka sei ekum nipa nkron omaimu enipa apem ene aduanan mienu 1042 ana yare ni bia yomu emu aduokronkron 99 ana omade omo ho a yare no afiri won so
na enra enwumre so mampani ene Ghana ekasai na aze no we na otwe bia no enu asoso ochechiremu echire nhehye hofro ya wode aba emu bi ene se hyedem ya wode to enkran kumase tema ene kaso afa bi so no wayi afri ho afi nhehye ahodo ya edemu ebie ene se schools ene esom nhyiamu afahye ayiyo ne niema no a yabra ne de edaso etim ba bia etim no a sansem we ya mampani di to dwa enra anwumre no yebesan etimu ebio na mo mansana no
Yeda ya boa 40 se keke pepra rufina se o mai mu se so pe ba bi etwa nchanse de te apo de di kru da so enwe na ache empo de te na te emfie bebre a eye keke pepra ne ho aso no twa steel trousers and ade no edi gu da so pejegina ofefefe eda ne so boye shine kama no unsa wo fie wasi na watimi ada wo ankasa wo krase se wanya adepa keke bepra roofing ne ho na yetwa nchanse kumase faade mamponten enwo adentan do do akwamu so kakra no do ibi toll boot na sawam kwantempon so wo ben sawam barrier e wo dobo unu keke bepra enterprise a chese to adanse niema etu betimi akwakoto bia kosudan 0244 2100. Your First Atlantic Bank, a bank in Mua mobile banking. Now I say, Tinefie, a brain mutinefie, na for digital, na se mobile banking, so na for bow browsika semu. Are simple. Would dial *442# *442# and one no. Would democra. The other so do sika War First Atlantic Bank ye be out to me. Oh, so you see, can it be the bar momo wallet mu? Wodi sika fi wallet mu kɔ account mu. Wotuatua bill se woto airtime. Enyema ye di sika ye ni bia. First Atlantic Bank e ma kwan na wayɛ wo waboboa no ba bia wotie efie pɛ. Ye hia so bɛkɔ banking hall. It is open so nya people experience na dia. And your bank First Atlantic Bank. Ye was Susie Herbal Center. One of these CB men capsules about bedroom yen. A one member or member ye dimu. Say said the COVID-19 me a say. Tibia be a yapom day to be a bonnet no more days ubekwa free ho. Nani pediamo soja fobejina branen adia kokonka yeno. And no TV just CB men capsules. Now bear my young how no. June say ye may ye a mucha mienu. A woman wa yasia don. Or how what it is say about a yaw, would you be no more a bow? CB women capsules and so a yamadia or bar pay, now say fitchy chromo how white be an enke kaye, dear. Now when your CB women capsules live in Mimina, Britia be more obedo home. Yet the CB soap yet pedicure. Fagakrafa and Antina Facisium Semedu, you home tron fefe and the canica, our pharmacy and our fake cosmetic shops 0247 111671 0247 111671. Ye cry this way chocolate drink. Eye koko so fa so kan do hia ka ho a eni sushi enwekada romania jedwa ye de anopai kasebo eba akenkan fo amote yenken eye me nana ya kunadu ena
nana ya okese
afei kasebo no musemnie sadia nana ya oboma mane dada se enro mampani na nado danko akufo ado ne omeyi kasa ye enro de oni akasa che yes mabese aduasa na esem odi tu dwanu nyina empani se ka kum ye gina kokko no munti ye besa ye boma mutie ni nyina deku na mutie wie a enchiremu a ewo mu no ya bone tofa ede amamo enti omampani nana ado danko akufo ado.
Show marvelous, truly marvelous.
Thank you. Peace FM.
Metropolitan area and Kaswa and the greater Kumasi metropolitan area and its contiguous districts. I explained at the time that the decision was taken to give government the opportunity to try to contain the spread of the virus, scale up effectively the tracing of persons who had come into contact with infected persons, test them for the virus, and if necessary, quarantine and isolate them for treatment, should they prove to be positive for the virus. The decision to restrict movement has occasioned a number of severe difficulties for all of us across the country, especially for the poor and vulnerable, and not only for those resident in the affected areas. Let me express my gratitude to all of you for bearing with government, all health workers, and with members of our security services throughout this period. I requested all of us to sacrifice for our collective good, and we have been doing just that. I thank all our healthcare workers, the men and women of our security services, and members of the media for the work they've been doing in helping to combat the spread of the virus. Let me also thank the individuals and organizations who have made contributions to COVID-19 National Trust Fund. It is truly appreciated. Fellow Ghanaians, since the first 2 cases of infections were recorded on our shores, we have to date traced some 86,000 contacts, out of which we have test results of 68,591 contacts. There is thus a backlog of some 18,000 tests whose results are yet to be received. The overwhelming majority of these contacts have been established in the last 3 weeks of the partial lockdown in Accra and Kumasi. Out of this number, 1,042 persons, i.e. 1.5%, have been confirmed as positive, with 67,549, i.e. 98.5%, testing negative. 99 persons have recovered and have been discharged, and 930 persons who have been isolated are responding to treatment either in their homes or in treatment facilities. These 930 persons, after their treatment, will soon undergo the mandatory 2 tests to determine if they have also recovered from the virus or otherwise. The main reason our country has seen an increase in the number of confirmed cases over the last 3 weeks is because of the decision we took aggressively to trace and test contacts of infected persons. This has enabled us to identify and isolate infected persons, protect the population from further infections, and contain better the spread of the virus. Indeed, Ghana is the only other country in Africa to have conducted more than 60,000 tests, and we are ranked number 1 in Africa in administering of tests per million people. The decision to impose restrictions on movement was backed by the data at hand, and our next course of action again is backed by data and by science. Indeed, all that government is doing is intended to achieve 5 key objectives: limit and stop the importation of the virus, contain its spread, provide adequate care for the sick, limit the impact of the virus on social and economic life, and inspire the expansion of our domestic capability and deepen our self-reliance. It is important to state at the very outset, the scientists at the University of Ghana have successfully sequenced genomes of the virus responsible for the COVID-19 pandemic, obtaining important information about the genetic composition of viral strains in 15 of the confirmed cases in Ghana. This is a significant milestone in Ghana's response to the pandemic, as it will strengthen surveillance for tracking mutations of the virus and in the tracing of the sources of community infections in people with no known contact with confirmed cases. The Ghanaian scientific community is to be warmly applauded for this advance and contribution to global knowledge. Their work makes us proud to be Ghanaians, and who knows, God may work through them to discover a vaccine. What a triumph that would be. Indeed, the recent genomic characterization of African coronaviruses by our own scientists illustrates the need to establish the enabling framework for sustaining vaccine manufacturing in Africa. We must advance African-led partnerships to drive scientific innovations for the control of viral diseases by vaccination. Ghana, recognizing this critical public health tool, will support the African Vaccine Manufacturing Initiative, which is chaired by Nogushi's Professor William Ampofo, to promote the agenda for vaccine development and manufacturing in Africa by Africans for the world. Government has also introduced the use of drones to expedite the transportation of samples to laboratory centers. On Friday, 17th April, for example, 51 samples were delivered from the Ominako Drone Distribution Center to Noguchi. Furthermore, we're introducing rapid results testing to augment our surveillance and enhance contact tracing efforts so that we can quickly isolate and treat confirmed cases. From the 68,591 samples tested, we've been able to understand better the dynamism of the virus, mapped out its geographic footprint, and established current and potential hotspots. We've also been able to isolate and educate asymptomatic carriers and thereby help minimize the spread of the virus. So far, it has been established that the virus was imported into our midst from foreign shores and is being spread through person-to-person contact. The majority of persons infected in Ghana have mild to no symptoms at all, whilst a very small number have required hospital treatment, of which 9 persons with underlying ailments have died. Towards treatment, we've expanded and added to our network of COVID-19 treatment centers, with the Ghana East and Bank of Ghana hospitals being 100% dedicated to the fight. In addition, we have set aside separate COVID-19 treatment centers at the University of Ghana Medical School Hospital, the Kolebu Teaching Hospital, Komfo-Anokye Teaching Hospital, Kumasi South Hospital, and in other designated regional and district hospitals. Last Friday, I was honored to do the virtual sod-cutting ceremony for the construction of a 100-bed infectious disease and isolation facility at the Ghana East Municipal Hospital, which is being funded through a public-private partnership under the leadership of the Ghana COVID-19 Private Sector Fund, and whose construction, with the assistance of the 48th Engineer Regiment of the Ghana Armed Forces, will be completed in 6 weeks. Members of the Private Sector Fund have indeed acted like citizens and not spectators in these testing times for our country, and their patriotism is to be loudly praised. We have also scaled up the domestic production of personal protective equipment, and our health care facilities so far have taken delivery of 14,550 scrubs, 11,900 gowns, 19,980 head covers, 263,281 nose masks, 13,002 N95 nose masks, 41,117 varying sizes of sanitizers have also been produced locally and delivered to our health facilities. The enhancement of our capacity to test has been made possible by the dedication of the expanded teams at Noguchi Memorial Institute for Medical Research, the Kumasi Center for Collaborative Research, and the National Public Health Reference Laboratory. Further, we're making significant investments in the laboratories of the Veterinary Laboratory, Accra, the Center for Scientific and Industrial Research Laboratory in Accra, the Police Hospital, the 37 Military Hospital, the University of Health and Allied Sciences in Ho, the Veterinary Services Department in Sekondi Takoradi, the Public Health Laboratory in Tamale, the War Memorial Hospital in Navrongo, and the Cape Coast Teaching Hospital, so they can also use PCR technology. We are recalibrating 100 regional and district tuberculosis gene expert laboratories across the country to help ensure that we have a minimum situation of one testing center per region. Fellow Ghanaians, in view of our ability to undertake aggressive contact tracing of infected persons, the enhancement of our capacity to test, the expansion in the numbers of our treatment and isolation centers, our better understanding of the dynamism of the virus, the ramping up of our domestic capacity to produce our own personal protective equipment, sanitizers and medicine, the modest successes chalked in containing the spread of the virus in Accra and Kumasi, and the severe impact on the poor and vulnerable. I've taken the decision to lift the 3-week-old restriction on movements in the Greater Accra metropolitan area and Kaswa, and the Greater Kumasi metropolitan area and its contiguous districts, with effect from 1 a.m. on Monday, 20th April. In effect, tomorrow, we'll see the partial lockdown in Accra and Kumasi being lifted. I must make it clear at the outset that lifting these restrictions does not mean we're letting our guard down. All other measures are still firmly in place. For the avoidance of doubt, the earlier measures announced on Wednesday, 15th March, which have been extended, are still very much in force and have not been relaxed. I'm demanding even greater adherence to these measures. In here, I'm referring to the suspension of all public gatherings, including conferences, workshops, funerals, parties, nightclubs, drinking spots, beaches, festivals, political rallies, religious activities, and sporting events. All educational facilities, private and public, are to remain closed. Businesses and other workplaces can continue to operate, observing staff management and workplace protocols with a view to achieving social distancing and hygiene protocols. Operators of public transport, including our buses, trotros, and taxis, are to continue to run with a minimum number of passengers, as they have been doing for the last 3 weeks in maintaining social distancing. They must also continue to ensure the maintenance of enhanced hygienic conditions in all vehicles and terminals by providing, amongst others, hand sanitizers, running water, and soap for washing of hands. Domestic airlines are required to adhere to the same protocols. The Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development, together with metropolitan, municipal, and district assemblies, will continue to implement measures to enhance conditions of hygiene in markets across the country and expand the policy of alternate days for alternative products to improve social distancing in all markets. As has been established, the overwhelming majority of confirmed cases have come from travelers or from people who have come into contact with travelers. It is therefore incumbent on us to continue to be vigilant about travelers into our country until further notice, and to congratulate the men and women of the Immigration Service and the Marine Police Unit for their work in securing our borders. The arrest of 10 West African nationals in Tamale, who all tested positive for the virus. The arrest of the 6 Nigerian travelers who entered Ghana through unapproved routes along the Ghana-Togo border near Aflao, who also tested positive for the virus. And the recent arrest of 10 fishermen in the western region who returned from Côte d'Ivoire and have been quarantined testify to the determination of our security services to protect our borders. I have thus signed an executive instrument to extend the closure of our borders for 2 more weeks, beginning Monday, the 20th of April. Like the World Health Organization, WHO, has recently advised, I want to encourage you to wear a mask wherever you go, as it will help you not to contract the virus and keep it clean. If you own a business or are providing a service, i.e. a barber, a hairdresser, a tailor, a taxi driver, a trotro driver, and his mate, a shopkeeper, a food seller, please do well to use a mask. The Ministry of Health will very soon issue guidelines on face masks for public use. I entreat religious, traditional, community, and opinion leaders to partner with government in engaging, mobilizing, and enforcing adherence to social distancing and personal hygiene protocol practices in their respective communities. As difficult as it may be, I encourage all bereaved persons to conduct private burials of their loved ones, but ensure that the 25 personal limit is not breached. Indeed, some are burying their loved ones now in order to have the final funeral rites later. The morgues in the country are becoming full and will in themselves soon pose a public health hazard. So let us act quickly on this. As the day goes by, and as we continue to sustain a grip on the rapid spread of the virus, the systematic easing of these restrictions will be undertaken to bring life back to normalcy. Definitely, we will continue to record new cases of infections, particularly with our policy of aggressive tracing and testing. However, I want to assure you the government has put in place the appropriate measures to isolate and treat them. Should there be an unexpected outburst in infections within a community, I've put the health workers and the security services, including the police service and the armed forces, on standby to coordinate a rapid response of human and logistical resources, if necessary, to cordon, impose a curfew, trace, test, and treat infected persons in the affected community. Indeed, the focus of government's policy and action will be based on the implementation of the 3 T's, i.e., tracing, testing, and treating. In any event, stay at home unless it is absolutely essential. The movement of foodstuffs will continue from producing areas to the markets, and with the intervention of the metropolitan, municipal, and district assemblies, the markets will be better organized for the sale of foodstuffs. Fellow Ghanaians, as we fight to halt the spread of the virus, we're also engaged in fights on 2 other fronts, fights we must equally win. Firstly, there continues to be the deliberate dissemination of fake news, disinformation, and outright lies by some unpatriotic citizens about the spread of the virus since its outbreak in the country. These acts are being orchestrated by those who seek to benefit by seeking to sow the seeds of panic and confusion amongst the populace at this time of national crisis. I have an unequivocal, unambiguous message for those involved in these despicable acts. Put an immediate stop to it, or be held accountable for your actions. Secondly, as been aptly stated by the Ghana Medical Association, being infected by the coronavirus is not necessarily a death sentence. I've noticed with great concern the stories of some persons who have recovered from the virus now being confronted with another problem, i.e., stigmatization. This is not right, as it will rather drive away people from getting screened, tested, and treated. The stigmatization of recovered persons must stop, because if the virus did not end their lives and livelihoods, the stigma from members of their communities should not. I know the effects of the measures to contain the virus have been difficult for many, and that is why I mandated the creation of the 1.2 billion CD Coronavirus Alleviation Program to support households and businesses. Out of this amount, 280 million cedis is being used to provide food for the vulnerable and free water for all Ghanaians for 3 months, i.e. April, May, and June. 323 million cedis is being used to motivate our health workers, and 600 million cedis of assistance is being provided to micro, small, and medium-scale businesses. I expect disbursements of the 600 million cedis to start in May. Government is fully absorbing electricity bills for 1 million active Lifeline customers and is granting a 50% subsidy on electricity bills of all other customers using their March 2020 bill as their benchmark for the months of April, May, and June. In total, the relief on electricity will amount to some 1 billion cedis. Again, government through the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection, the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development, and the Ministry of Food and Agriculture through the National Buffer Stock Company, in collaboration with the MMDCs and the district disaster management committees, has provided over 2.5 million cooked food packs to vulnerable persons in the affected districts of Accra and Kumasi. Dry food packs have also been distributed in collaboration with the faith-based organization to 450,000 families in the same areas as against the original target of 400,000. I express my profound gratitude to the private sector and faith-based organizations and traditional authorities for their support in this endeavor. I also commend highly the many individuals and private organizations who on their own organized hot meals and fed a number of vulnerable people within the restricted areas. To these individuals, I call for being good neighbors to your fellow Ghanaians. As we continue to battle this pandemic, it is imperative we plan to restore Ghana onto a sound economic footing and create a path towards growth and transformation. The recent $1 billion United States dollar rapid credit facility, secured from the IMF without any precondition and approved by Parliament, will be used to help close the financing gap that has been created by the pandemic through shortfalls in revenues and additional expenditures. I welcome the 3 billion CD credit and stimulus package from the commercial banks with the support of the Bank of Ghana to revitalize industries, especially in the pharmaceutical, hospitality, service, and manufacturing sectors. The Minister for Finance, that hard-working, outstanding national treasurer, together with his counterpart in South Africa, as co-chairs of the Committee of African Finance Ministers, have been leading a Pan-African effort to bring debt relief to the continent in these difficult times. The recent $1 billion United States dollar rapid credit facility, secured from the IMF without any precondition and approved by Parliament, will be used to help close the financing gap that has been created by the pandemic through shortfalls in revenues and additional expenditures. I welcome the 3 billion CD credit and stimulus package from the commercial banks with the support of the Bank of Ghana to revitalize industries, especially in the pharmaceutical, hospitality, service, and manufacturing sectors. The Minister for Finance, that hard-working, outstanding national treasurer, together with his counterpart in South Africa, as co-chairs of the Committee of African Finance Ministers, have been leading a Pan-African effort to bring debt relief to the continent in these difficult times. Last Friday, they achieved a 9-month debt standstill from the World Bank for all qualifying members of the International Development Association, IDA, starting from 1st May 2020, totaling some 44 billion United States dollars for the countries of Africa. In the case of Ghana, this amounts to a freeze in principal and interest payments for the year, amounting to some 500 million United States dollars. This will create greater fiscal space to help make the Ghanaian economy much more resilient. I've charged the finance minister to leave no stone unturned to achieve an even greater and comprehensive debt relief program for Africa. Our success in defeating the virus is largely within our control. That means each and every one of us must exercise at all times during this period without the partial lockdown in Accra and Kumasi a strong sense of selflessness, self-control, and self-discipline. It is important to stress strongly that coming out of the partial lockdown in Accra and Kumasi does not mean we are out of the pandemic. We will continue to monitor closely events in some hotspots in the Greater Accra metropolitan area like Wejagbawe, Ga East and Ayawaso East municipalities, and Tema metropolis, and in the eastern region like Eswejamai and Lower Manya Krobo districts. whenever the situation so warrants. A community in which the virus is identified as becoming prevalent will be locked down until there is a clear understanding of the trajectory of the virus that will allow us to contain it. We must obey the measures still in place, including the new ones, because we know our survival depends on them. And the harder we are on ourselves in obeying them, the quicker and more enduring will be the victory. To Ghanaians in all parts of the world, I urge you to remain steadfast in abiding by the rules and regulations that have been put in place by your host countries to combat the virus. And I extend the condolences of all your compatriots at home to all families abroad who have lost their loved ones to the virus. And I take this opportunity to wish our High Commissioner to the United Kingdom and Ireland, my good friend, Papa Usuankuma, who has been affected by the virus, and other Ghanaians abroad who have been so affected, a speedy recovery. This disease is new, and it is in plain evolution, and there is therefore as yet no vaccine or cure. But we know enough to take action, and we shall be nimble and adapt as the situation changes. We will tailor our solutions to our unique social, economic, and cultural conditions. There is no one-size-fits-all approach, but I pledge to you the government will do whatever is required in our particular circumstances to safeguard the lives of our people and keep our economy going. Discipline, self-discipline, is that strong bridge that all of us, from the safety of our homes, in our workplaces, and in our communities, must build. We need to build a strong bridge of self-discipline in order for us to cross over from this difficult period of restrictions and the spread of the coronavirus to the other side, where total freedom to go about our normal lives awaits us. To defeat the virus and get there, we have to accept that we have to wash our hands, maintain good hygiene, refrain from shaking hands, wear our masks, and practice social discipline in all of our engagements. Fellow Ghanaians, we are confronting one of the greatest challenges of our generation. We have to win this battle. We have to defeat the virus. It is our behavior and response that will determine that. I have every confidence that collectively, we Ghanaians have it in us to rise to the occasion and become victorious. I'm very grateful for the great support you have given my government and I as we steer our country out of this crisis. Continue in unity to provide that support. This too shall pass, for the battle is the Lord's. Medama sepa munkoso entie wasam nenyina endinkunim. Indanya siwa nye yano ya boa no ninwio tue koni wo fe wo yenkunim. May God bless us all and our homeland Ghana and make her great and strong. I thank you for attention and have a good night.
Omampani Nana Ado Dankwa Ekufu Ado Enra Enumre Enone Omenyi Ekasaye Na Enra Komone de Yenkomo emu epi enkomo tenten na anopai ye bebo modensi ye bebo na papo ye de no naposo ena ebebremu etimoni die mu ara na matiasia sa ede amaye nana yenkwe
nti ya ne de ye nya ne se ne de bia ye no ne de ye bebo no tofa ye bebo e homo de ne se de ye so ye ne ankasa ye adwuma yi mu enhyehyɛ ya ye de boa amaya ko COVID-19 no man penisa asia no da Ghana fo ase no kan se na otwe miensa atwa mu no oni edi nkomo acheche hia se omanfo a ewo kaso ne potamu afi enkran na kumase ene tema no ode o hye bi tu eso se yentimi mpie nko yeda da adwuma se ne na ye ne da no Wose de ma hu koko hia sa ne se na yare ne se ne asia yi ne ti na afi ekwan aban pese wo fa so na woti yareboa no na ba bi a yare na dikan akwakoduro bia no oso ano no eno na ma hu koko hia se osi sa gina se ne be ya apomuden mu adwumayefo ene bambofo nyina betumi aboa ama yetimi eti wo mu a omanya yareboa ne bie mampani eda bambofo ase eda apomuden adwumayefo ase eda da obofo ase se yeboa ye ewo sa kwan no so Penny HRS Efri bra yare no mienu eyi niti ewo Ghana ha sei na ye se yebeti no na afa obi a ono obi a wanya yare no bia din sawoso no yebeti wo mo no ehwe mu akwa ko hunu se nipa empema duo twensia 86000 na ene saafo no edi ensawoso na enu mu no ye free wo mo enya ensusanso ewo emu empem aduosia nwotwe ahenum aduokron baako 68591 wo mo yenya wo mo test results no ede aba ya akabe empem du nwotwe bi ewe akire a ye hwe animu na de aba no emu apem ene aduanan bi no 1042 ya de ko anche mu a baako na akire ponu 1.5% ena enya yare ni bi ya eno akire se emu o hanche mu aduokron nwotwe akire po enum 98.5% de wo mo enya yare no ebi na ye ka se so no Mampeni echire mu se womo a womo ho ye ya oguso eja yarehwe no womo nyina ewo ho ye kakra no a efiri mu no eto nchen a de aka ni nyina ewo ho ya obia ejina tenten eja yarehwe
na de ntia ye hu se ni papi enya yare ni bi ni papem ene eche enya yare ni bi ne se aban ebo echire hwehwemu ahodo mo ye 18 krofo a womo ni womo enya yare ni bi abompu ni mpu no ka ho bi ni aye sohwe bebre ahwehwe nipa abosim ehu se nipa se na enya bi na bibi memu nyiro betimi ase ne bo aka se o my God na mu ene oman a yaso nipa dodo ahwe se covid-19 omanya bia na omunya bi yaso nipa bro empem adiosia 60000 ana ahwe na ye kasa sesi yim eniama hodo enum ene fapemo a aban edi tu sa anamoyi na no ka kire sem what the science ni data and a bebo achire amane boye wo covid-19 ho no de be ye adwuma na abose a omode ye adwuma ye yin so wo ma chemu ahodo enum ye no na eboa me de akosa covid-19 yi ebi ene sem ye be ma omode yare ni fra mo no ne ba no ye twa so na ne tre so ye be ma aba fom na wo mo anya emu yare so ye be boa wo mo COVID-19 so bone dada brabo ni sikasemu ebekọ fom na afa so ye dia kentene ho de betimi aye wo man mu e dia boa ye ho e wo se wo kasi ni people de chere say University of Ghana ene na pamfo wo mafrase ye nhwemu ahodo ama se yare na bose said the virus no na bosete ne nipa enya bia ne bi wo mafa ehunsuo ne bi afa yare no eye mu hwehwemu sabe ya ye betimi ehunu na bosena te na se yie na obi mponim ebi anasa hwehwemu yi aboa madachi bi o my Ghana yetimi enya duro ana vaccine ye de be covid-19 yi eti wo gina we se so na waka se ehwehwemu a wo se ye bia no ye na was say ye share ye hooding a idea here public health no ye digina ye na African Vaccine Manufacturing Initiative and so Gucci Professor William Ampo for Dano no ye show one day Emma wotimi ye die ebeboa
na mampani echre say sania ade no asia kwakwa yesesi ano anamon a yentimi entoto na se kra eho behia se yebema ye laboratories no wo mo ho aye ha na dodo no atimi aye bi enti free na no no wo mo ama drones no bi ede gofo hunsuo ne nema ya twe no ekọ tentem so se be ya wo beti anhwemu a ese efata mampani ekire se nipa empemaduosia nwotwa henum aduokron ba kwa etese wo mo no aboa ama yetimi hu yare no na bosuo yareboa no senia ne bobie sitie ye se ne osi ye na ade fa ne ade nyina no beboa ama ye ho aye ha na ye ho kwan befa so aso yare no ano enu nti se ye nhyehyɛ se ne be ya mia bi a ye yesi ho no ye de beba beka de ye yesi wo dada se ye de ehwe COVID-19 no ho Gan East and a Bank of Ghana Hospital say ye ni nyina de si 100% say ye de hwe wo mo a enya yare no ebie no eda nchen a University of Ghana Medical School, Kolebu Teaching Hospital, Konfanochi Teaching Hospital, Kumasi South Hospital, any district and regional hospitals binum ewa ye yes was said no say adwuma ne de be ye o say na no so o de ahoma form ze yenkosi aya sabia bia no yed na otwensia na bosome ne fa na esie ya sojafo engineerfo ewo ho no ebeboa ama yetumi ayesa adwuma no ama bibia akwa no wa no
na ye kasa ye boa say betimi akra ye ho ye humu enti personal protective equipment PPEs no ye fra say ya Ghana ase so ye bie na de aba beboa ye mafo eno te kokoda abode mu nyansapefo hwehwemufo no wo mo tretre wo mo pay wo mu enti no Gucci Memorial Institute of Medical Research, Kumasi Center for Collaborative Research, National Public Health Reference Lab, Wamu yina guso a woye ehwehwemu ahodo pii ede aboa anya no pe say ye de sika hwehwemu abode ho nyansape hwehwemu laboratory hwehwemu ye de sika hwem eti veterinary lab ye wonkra ha Center for Scientific and Industrial Research ye wonkran Bosia ya Sabia 37 University of Allied Health and Allied Sciences de wo ho Veterinary Services Department or Second D, Public Health Laboratory what Tamale, Memorial Hospital, and what Navrongo, Cape Coast Teaching Hospital. Woman yesha one day say PCR technology na ebwa emi muni jasono, womu betimi ayedie. Eti me mama. Say ye two na money a emu odin, edi aboyare echi. Ya so ni pepi ya she. Ya tretre ayasamu in isolation center ya tretre mu ni nyina abotaye ne se ye de hwe na yare ye tune so sa entem
na ahade pono amampani kire se na odwe miensa hye ya wode eto Ghana fo so no wono madwe ntoato an ba bi ade akwakọ wia ne se omanfo won kran ka so afa bi tema eni kumase miam ye de hye to wo so no efi ne obi abetumi akọ adwuma na wakwakọ na adwuma na wose woka ne sei no wo ba kire se yi ohyene de afiri ho na kire se aban ebe ye hwe ha da bi aban be nani ada ho pa na wakoso de nani adi ene ma chi ahwese ne a esese bibia eko afi wose ye de yi a wayi ohyene ato enchen a enhyehyɛ ade to dwa se dodo adwabɔ enkoso bi public gathering ebi etese conferences workshop year party night clubs drinking sports beaches afashe festivals political rallies and afi sum gidie mu hyehyɛmu ni ade no enu say etimi enye no ende etimba bi etim yenyim free ho afi omo a ekura ankran hyen public transport taxi ne trotro ni nyina mbetumi aye adwuma nenso mo adwuma a mo ye no mo hwe se ne be ya nipa mo befa no mo nkofa mfoafo aso na mo de ahonidie nhyehyɛ so be ye adwuma afi enche kura aso ye hwa pomden aso ye hwa mpatamu amambuo nhyehyɛ so de nhyehyɛ bi eba ya edwa hodo a Ghana ase nyina ye be hwe se ne a yebesi afa na ye de aye adwuma sebeya yebetumi aboy ho ban e wo yarebo e ho
na sade munimu no enipa yare dodo enya enipa de ba ye ekrofom ne omudi kasobom eno na ma yare etretreye eno nti ehye no a ye de ato ho se omanfo nkomma etitiw wo mo mu wura ma emu from no ne no eda so eye adwuma ma enka fo immigration service ne marine police for se wo maboa ebo ye hye so ban na no nipa du ye fira bibrema toye ma bi mu a ka obo de yare ne bi wura ha wo mo yare ne bi echi wo tamale ekoso mo hweye ezie bi Nigeria for mo so fa akwati kwa wura Ghana ha sei afla wo hye ne so afare fo be se du ya mo so ataya mantam mo firi Cote d'Ivoire eba ye ne nyina hia se bambofo a wo hye so ye be yire wo mo adwuma wo mo eyemu enu nti efiri ena 20th April yi kono boda ye tu mu no ye sad na wo twemienu epi so enya de ye bie ni sei World Health Organization etufo se ye mo modern ye hye de be kata ya no face facial mask yɛnhyɛ bi na yɛmfa ɛmmoa yare no obi a wɔnkasa ɛmɔ foforo ɛnyɛ etibra wo yɛ wadwuma wo kɔ a wo ba sɛ wo yɛ baba wo yɛ hairdresser tailor taxi driver trotro meti wo to shop wo to aduane obi a momode sɛ ɔbɛyɛ ne saa na wɔsrɛ nananom hemfo asrɛ asɔfoɔ ɛne mpanimfo a no duru bunu mu sɛ wɔn nkɔ so mmoa na saa social distancing no ɔmanfoɔ nte aseɛ na yɛnyɛ ne saa na ahonidie ne so yɛmfa nyɛ adwuma
na saa bere ya yehu yare no abosio no na yetimi ati no na wɔn a enya bie yato wɔn ɛpono mu no yɛ saa nneɛma we nyina ne ɔhyɛ so ɛde to hɔ yɛ afiri hɔ no sɛ ne ɛbɛyɛ a abrabɔ no ɛbɛsen akɔ so sɛ ne nan kakane no yɛ nneɛma no anso meka me mmɔte aseɛ sɛ bambofo egyina ententen ɛhwɛ nneɛma baabi a ɛsɛ sɛ yɛ kaso yɛ ma obi ɛnkɔ no yɛbɛyɛ ne ntentem saa baabi a ɛsɛ yɛde ɔhyɛ na curfew ɛto wɔn so no yɛbɛyɛ ne saa yɛbɛkɔ so ati ɔmanfoɔ yɛ a ɔmo ne obi a ɔnya yare no bi ɛde ɛsawso akɔnia sɛ nyina so meka sɛ wɔn mo de nnuane kodwa ahodoɔ nyina mu no so no ɔmo bɛkɔ so ɛde akɔna nso yɛsrɛ municipal metropolitan na district assemblies ni nyina so ɔmo nya nhyehyɛ sɛ ɛbɛyɛ nneɛma a yɛtɔn no dwam hɔ no Omanfo nkonko tungu so emro so na mampani se niema yeye nyina na niema miensan ya nani esi so pa no eno na yeye se yebetimi ati yare na omo anya bie betimi ahwe omo na afi yebeti ano se yare na entretribium ti mampani kai se sa bra mu nya bra ye share fake news etu omo so omo ya omadwen so omo de asem a enye no kure ni ani eno omo de beko no etoje omo ara afi mampani eje se Ghana Medical Association so na nsen omo ya de pa omo ya de e wa namo womu atuo ede aboa ewo coronavirus yare ne ko eho enuti ensam a omanfo bi aba beka omo ho ato womo kwan a Ghana Medical Association doctor fo ahwe omo ho ato omo ne ade omo ka no yenya se ye nipa ayipa mu se obi enya yare ne binti empese ye beka ben no eno nya ade a ebo ye kwan bi aso
yare no nya na nche se ya sen kuta certificate akwo da bi enye sa yenim sa covid-19 na de how ebeba ye sikasam ene ye dada hyehyɛ hodro emu enunti ye twa 1.2 billion coronavirus alleviation program ya de babu afiafie ni nwumanyuma na saa sika yi ya bubu bumu ya de emu 280 million chenuane ani ensuo de ama omanfo abosome miensa epo May ani June na ya cheche sika no ahodo ayewo ebia de ye enche enwuma nkuma ne adantamu no mbenya omchefa wo bede kwa akwa ye adwuma ebion yaka ye de nam gender ministry eso Ministry of Local Government and Ministry of Food and Agric and a National Buffer Stock Company. Woman nyina eboa me anu anuani adan na se bushie kuo ahodo empem ahanan edioson 470 families and I say ebushia nkrofo a ye cheduane a ya no ema wo mu edie eno no na no ne da gidie empanifo no sorry empanifo no ye da wona se ewo mwa wo mu de aboa yen
na ebra ye to aso na ye ne yare yi edi akon no enwo behia pa se ye betutu ye ni na fe ye sikasam so yama no agina yie pa eno nti na no ye kokonya sika bi ye $1 billion free IMF for ho a ehihye bia enna ho se we untimi nye we asem papa afe ye commercial banks ahodo no so aka bom ama oman no 3 billion ya eno ye de pepeja enwuma mu e wo Ghana ha sei eno so sei asem papa ye so afọ we sikasam so ye dwumaden oman fotosamfo wani ni nua wo South Africa ko ntapam ho o mienu na ye titafo ema bibre mu asoafo we sikasam so oman hyehye e na aman hodo a bibiman de wo ka $44 billion na ye ne say every May da edikan ekobo so menkron achi no nya de bibiman kai ede no yebetuatua bie enti no ye nigisem ede ma oman Ghana pa ne ye Ghana sei sa bo so menkron no a ye ntua hwe no ebeboa ama yenya $500 million ede ahye botom na ye de aye ne aye pese ye
na se bedi yare yi eso enkunimu agina yen so ehihya hodo a ye beye brebia ya de ehia se partial lockdown e wa Accra ani Kumase yeyi Nanso enchese jeja wo ho ebrei na wo se wo hye wo so na wo di ebuo ne ani die eye adwuma ahonidie pa na wo ma wani da ho e wo de wo ye bia mu ehia se ye beka ne esi the people e de akere omanfo se ye ne de akire ye hwe se de niema ACL kro enti miamia ya rie ni anayi ni tika cigarette Accra mantamum ye kan wajagbawe ga east ayawa so east afei temakropomu epoe mantamu esuojaman lowa manya krobo eho nyina ye bo akire ye hwese de niam besi akom enye se ye lockdown no anu ti kyerɛ sɛ obi enye gya ne ho dabi enya saa na tie ɛwɔ sɛ yɛ kɔso na hyehyɛ ahodo a yɛde bɔ yare ne ho bra yɛde yɛ adwuma frenchim yɛyi die na sɛ ɛpagya ne ho a yebetu ehwa na mon bion se be ya yare yi yebedi ne sunkunim ma memfa kwan so na Ghana fo ye wa mo no ne eni wiase ama ma nyina mu ye kan twom se wo mo nkra won gidie eni wo mo mudie mu ye ta wachi won paibɔ mu okun yi mu wo mo ma abusuafo enso afiri mu no ye ma won hyede ma won yakɔ ma memfa kwan so na Ghana High Commissioner ye wo United Kingdom ne Ireland mi amadafo apa uso ankoma me ma no afiri mu ono so wote sayare yi wanya bi sa na Ghana fo ye wa mo no ye bi nyina ye stress nyakopon wo ma wo mo ahoden na wo fedi yare esunkoni
yare yi eye yare foforo ya afei na aba ya ye nyina ye esua no na ye hwese ne a ne niema esi etie ya eni aduro enu tie so obi ahwe ne ho yie na obi a enya ahohyeso wadwuma mu afiefie mu miemia ye mpotamu eni ade no ye yankasa no ese ye nya ahohyeso sa ahohyeso na beboa ama yabo ye ho ban edi afri yarebo ehu
na medamu ase de ye kan se wensu ebetwam okono edaso ye awrade ko medamu ase mesramo de mekan monkoso entie masem na ye nyina ye mom na ye ninkunim nyankopon hira ye man Ghana na woma ye ahoden a yede be yakese pa medamu nyina ase samode mason fm ni
abuzafo no asama mampani edeto oman nanim anadwo no ne tofa mu sania yebetumi na yabo no Peace FM na waso egusu awutie ye ba wo
FM.
Amen. Waya, Amio. Mumra maya nyamiase. Oh yeah. Nanadum hoda. Amen.
Yenim samu busasa nije asene sein.
Asiane se, wadi amen na jiranse ni awo herbal ayaresam bio. Na nkunimdie adasidie na asie eni abasobode nko a. Se wanso wo hwe apomdim mu ahoto a wode abra manfo. Efiri yentri so ekosi ye na asie. Ehina yade sha amen hu ensa yade. Wadi ni nro ni abefo efidie echi yade no kunu what time.
Amen e the herbal accommoding was signed in naturopathy and homeopathy kwan ekun ye nyarewa.
Say sukuu fofri amanone besua ekwane a yade herbal say yade e wo amen.
We nyina enti e na yade anigye frefrem say. Say we pa wo yare bi hyehye wo ho ana yare bi abagye akonya wo ni padua mu a Allahu shafi onyame ne yaresafo. Inshallah e nyame adom a ayaresa beba.
Amen wodome wo be old snake flat.
Ultra modern branch wa Klagon Tama Road Frey 020-722-9505 and a 0245-275254. Amen Scientific Herbal Hospital. Amanfo. The Amoka Chef Freddy's Corner Home Appliances hono.
or the Aba Freddy's Corner Home Appliances Center.
Home appliances are a ye papa bia e bi wo ho.
Brands Bain, Media, Nasco, Samsung, Hisense, Skywell, TCL,
TV, air conditioner, freezers, fridges, water dispensers, and media keka ho. Nia ubenya good warranty dia. Ko Freddy's Corner Home Appliances okoko memle.
CCTV a Boama monitor of properties any business at anywhere in the world.
CCTV ni da ho. Ewo detector, clear pictures, Wi-Fi connector. Utimi connect ma wo phone. Na wa monitor baby a wo wiase bia.
Freddy's Corner Home Appliances abeka Freddy's Corner edwosu ahodo a oton phones ene ehun accessories no ho.
Fresh 0544-959195 ana 020-7937-323 ana so brakoko memle City Light in Chehwa na yaka discount ene achadia ubetiasie.
Freddy's Corner,
Home of authentic home appliances, phones and its accessories.
Happy delightful June. Swashilala, chichi soso. Happy delightful June. Afranapa, a pepper breakfast and was in woman. Joe happy delightful juice against with toast, cereal, and even them cool. And we a bread and fifi. The most fridge man. Happy delightful juice. One of one. Next you do. Do my fish in the side, and you be relaxing way. So I know when you're. Let's say what a chamado. Happy July free juice. Happy July free juice. Offer no pay we bring you all day long. Occasion biara. Vitamins and minerals allow woman. Obomu apomuzen. E wonu free juice. Num Happy July. One different flavors, different size. You number 1 liter. Number from NG 150 and 250 ml. I bring it up cooking a farmer biara banu ne benyebi. Catch a live beverage. And why you Happy July free juice. Happy July free juice. Loaded with taste.
Yamo kwa baida se so do aso afam ye de kase ba no e ba wieye na ye tidbit de chance na no an ye e chemu kakra ne senda ye epoda to so aduonum ene ye dwoada e de din kan ya partial lockdown ana ewo enkran ani kumase eno ye de eba wieye o mampani ahye se obi abetimi akona dwuma so eno nchasa covid-19 ekọ yareboa ne da so we ye mayimu wujeja ho a obechew oche no apomudin nyina yi a ebetimi akun enu nti omanfo hye ne so se di omanpani de obi ahyebre ahye ne nsem wo se we partial lockdown no na so ehyehyeye wo se yedi so ene se nipa main nipa pi de ye friend physical distancing and na social distancing no ye de be ye adwuma afei ye ma ensa hohoro entimi yen na hand sanitizer so the alcohol wom ye fa bi fefa yensa ho eno te kokoda ye ni di yie na se ohododo wonte bibia se a entamara na wa free emergency numbers no na apomdi anim difo no aba beboa ye se de wo wonkwa ehye wonsa ye tidbit de ma onene se ewuo nie enkwanie hwem na ye de wo pe se ujeja wo ho akotetare nipa no obi anya yare ni bia aya lockdown na abawie yo yare na enkoye edaso wo meyi mu yesempa
abusia ha ena ene anope yedemu esie na yene amote yenka kenkan mu eyeme nana ya kesi ena
Nana ya kunadu asede weche de Masuzi Herbal Center what the CB men capsules abaye meme drobo mema ema bema ye di mu CB women capsules ye ma dia wo afiche to ya white ananke ka ye num bi ye the CB soap ye pedicure ye na ma ne fefefe 0247 111671 keke be roofing wo twa chance papa ye di kuru danso wo twa steel trousers na chance na nyu na ache empo o ma written guarantee free so gin hudi lockdown ye twam adwuma e hyase sa wo kwa akobɔ dan so akaisem wo beto keke be roofing na wo the steel trousers and chance ni kuru dan so a wo so wo dan no e guy pa e ya for 0244 912100 Your First Atlantic Bank or the mobile bank in a basan ha ho and simpam banking hall and what banke a star 442 hash why ye transaction be a person ye be our mobile phone so over so transfer sika free wallet mo account to wallet mo transfer sika mo bi who to your bills who to airtime and your purple experience and the First Atlantic Bank at the amount ye this way chocolate drink do you come wa any sushi e me kwada roma and no sia kasebo asi no nso ye de bremu ye da na ye ho aba do bon krata mo boso
Peace FM